Hey, what's happening, everybody? Ali Taraftar back with a brand new video. Just taking a walk outside today. It's fairly cold. As you can see, I'm pretty much geared up for winter. The reason I wanted to bring this video to you guys' attention is because I wanted to talk about a couple of important things when it comes to the credit partnership program. And a lot of people have been asking me how it works, what's the breakdown, what's the benefits, and so on and so forth. So in today's video, that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be breaking that down and giving you all the details that you need to know in terms of how the credit partnership program works. The first step is not everybody was going to qualify. And what I mean by that is, if you're with me on this channel, you've been following me for a while, and you guys know that I basically teach you how to fix your personal credit. And the reason why I focus so much on that is because we know that, credit is like the cornerstone to build a lot of wealth. If you know how to do it right, there's significant benefits to it. And a lot of people don't realize that having good credit is actually quite a privilege. And even if you don't have good credit, you have the ability to fix that, which then gives you the power to do things that you want to do in the most efficient way possible. So how does it work with credit partnerships and personal credit? Well, the first thing is obviously you need to make sure that your credit is pristine. So that's the first step. Clean up your credit reports. Make sure that whatever you've done with your credit is consistent and linear across all three. Now, most of you guys might be asking, what does that mean to be linear across all three? How does it work? So I'm going to give you some clarity to that. When I teach you how to clean your personal credit, and the way I do it is based on the PI minimizer technique, which is the number one way of cleaning up your personal identifiers. Personal identifiers are essentially information that you have on your credit reports that consists of your old addresses. It consists of, let's say, your old names that are no longer relevant to the applications you're making out there. And sometimes it can be relevant. Maybe it's going to have your first and middle initial. But the idea is you don't want to have all that extra information on your reports. So you clean that up. And then, you have employers and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to have all that extra stuff either. Because what it does at one point is it's going to cause a lot of trouble. Let's say if you have a collection agency, they pull your report. And basically if that collection agency pulls your report and figures, hey, this person, has been working in this area, or let's say this employer, for 6 years, we can go after them and basically, try to collect payments on that individual. It's not the best thing to do. So you don't want to have, those specific employer-related information. So going back to the basics, you clean up your credit. You first remove the identifiers, then you start tackling those negative items. I have a course, the Ultimate Personal Credit Mastery. You guys know about this. I've been putting it on my channel for a bit now. And you can actually sign up for the course and learn advanced tactics, not only to help you boost your credit score, but to maintain them. And it'll give you a path to build prosperity. A lot of people teach credit repair, but they don't teach you the aftermath of good credit. What are the benefits? How to use it? What are the structures? How to build more relationships with banks? All these extra things, they absolutely matter. So you need to consider that. So going back to that, right? So you clean up your credit. So that's the first step of the credit partnership program. The second step of the credit partnership program is making sure that you have some sort of income. See, a lot of people may say, well, what do I need documentation and income for the partnership? Well, it's because the thing is, you can build a lot of wealth personally. Okay, that's a possibility. But at the same time, the reason why we want income is because when you have documented income and you have leveraged decent personal credit, we can do a lot of transactions and a lot of capacity. So the type of deals that we look at when it comes to the credit partnership program are businesses. We look to buy businesses. Sorry about the church bell, guys, in the back. It's just I'm walking in a pretty big park, so you're going to hear a lot of noise. But going back to that, the reason you need personal income is it accommodates your good credit. Now, what is the income level that you should typically have? Not as high. We can start at 75,000 up to 100 plus. But the idea is if you don't have that income, you can still participate. It doesn't mean that you can't. It's just you can get to do larger and bigger deals if you have a certain income threshold, which I prefer. But if you don't have that, we still have smaller mid-sized deals that we still do together. So that's the basics, right? So you first clean up your credit. You make sure it's done right. If you can't hire somebody to do it for you. You do it yourself. There's a lot of free strategies I share on my channel, so go check those videos out. I'm gonna help you with a playlist I've attached on the description of this video, so you can look into that and basically learn how to do it yourself. But let's say you want to take advanced knowledge. Like I said, you have my course. You can check that out as well. Now, going back to that, okay? So we talked about this, and we said, okay, well, now I have good credit. Now I have great income. What's the next step? So the next step after that is to contact me, right? Is to let me know, hey, Ali, I'm interested in your credit partnership program. What we do is we add you in our list. And the reason why we created a list is because we review only so many different deals. And because we review only so many different deals, we can't necessarily give everybody like access to all the deals we do, right? We have to make sure that, and again, we have a huge list of partners that we want to work with. And then from that perspective, we tie the deals together based on their appetite. So what I mean by that is, let's say if you're comfortable in your area, we have certain deals, we do it. Most of the deals we do are in the state of Virginia, New York, Texas, California. Those are our specific top spots, as well as Florida. But let's say even if it's not around your area, you can still participate. Doesn't mean that you have to be there. So that's the first step, right? So when you clean that up, you clean your credit, you have a decent income that you can show, you contact us and you say, Ali, I'm interested in your credit partnership. What's the next step that I need to take in order to make sure that I can do a deal with you? Then what happens is we basically get in touch, and I explain to you the way it works with our sequence, right? So you add it to our list, we reach out to you, and once we reach out to you, we tell you some of the deals we're working on. And we don't give you the whole spiel because there's a lot of private information about the business structures and stuff that we deal with. So we can't necessarily share 100% of the information. But what we can do is at least give you the context of what's the deal included, what is in that deal, what are you looking at, the potential upside of that deal, how much equity you're going to get, what the credit underwriting requirements are. And basically from that angle, we start a partnership, and then basically from that perspective, we pursue that transaction. So our role, and the reason you might be asking yourself, hey, Ellie, if you have, these type of deals, what do you need guarantors or people with good credit? Well, we don't necessarily need guarantors and people with good credit, right? We can leverage the business's assets and cash flow and financially engineer it and build business credit. The reason we're looking at guarantors is because it gives us an opportunity to have more reach in the areas that these guarantors are at. So for example, if you're a partner with us and you're in the state of, let's say, Wyoming, and we find decent deals in Wyoming, and while you're partnering with us, you be on the lookout, you get cash flow in addition to the equity of the business. So what happens is you're looking out and you say, look, I found other businesses. We teach you a system which you can learn on how to go out there and connect with other businesses that you potentially may want to buy. And then we partner you up with other partners, maybe not in your state, but outside, like the credit partnership program. So it creates a community of business-minded individuals who are focused on helping not only themselves build wealth, but help the business owners that are selling their businesses who may not have the opportunity to sell it at a reasonable price. And I want to emphasize this. And the reason I emphasize this is because, hold on 2 seconds. Something's wrong. Okay. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Okay. And the reason I emphasize this is because in the credit partnership route, the biggest thing that we try to do is help the small and medium-sized business owners who are selling their businesses. This could be many different ways. First of which, some of these business owners are seniors. They've been putting 80-hour work weeks. They don't have suitable buyers. The reason they don't have suitable buyers is because everybody's trying to beat their price down. Everybody's trying to negotiate with them, saying, hey, we don't want to pay this price. We don't want to pay this premium. So what does that mean? So it's pretty crazy. But at the end of the day, let's assume a business goes up for listing and they want to sell, but they're not able to sell because everybody's trying to negotiate with them. On top of that, they don't have the savviness of understanding valuation, financial engineering, and best practices when it comes to valuations of a business to sell it at a marketable price. So what happens is they get beat down, and then they pay fees for attorneys, and then they go through costs for like a good 2 years, and on average, out of those people, over 90% of them don't end up selling. So just to give you the landscape of how it looks like when you're trying to buy a business or sell a business. So what I've done is me and my partner. We work on a series of businesses. We put together workshops to help those small businesses as well. And the workshops consist of educating them on the idea of how to get the max value for your business, how to improve the value for your business in a matter of 12 months. Some of the transformational work that can be done to help them kind of remove the 80-hour work week so that they can sit behind and maybe participate for, like, let's say 10 hours a week, and then gradually exit as we start delegating tasks and responsibilities. See, a lot of these business owners, they don't want to delegate. Why? It's because they're scared that, the people handling those tasks are not going to be taking care of their business like they will. It's their baby, right? So what ends up happening is they're scared. They don't want to delineate that responsibility. And unfortunately, what ends up happening is they actually lose their mind by trying to run it themselves 24/7. That's a very painful process. So, just to think about that, okay? So with that said, our next step is obviously going back to the business credit partnership thing. The next step, you contact us, we'll put you on a list, we shoot you out an email, give you some insights about some of the deals we're working on. You will have to sign a non-disclosure agreement because we have to protect the interests of our sellers, those people who are selling their businesses, because not everybody's going to qualify, right? So, we have to look at that and say, hey, okay, what are some of the things that I can do to protect myself and my business owners? So we sign an NDA. The reason it's because, like I said, we want to protect the interests of our sellers. Once we get that done with and you say, Ellie, I'm interested in this deal, what's the next step? Then we put together a small meeting or video conference. We go over the details of the deal. Sometimes these video conferences can last for an hour, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, depends on the type of deal. We go over the specifics of the business. What are we looking at? We speak to some of our financial underwriters prior to obviously explaining to you guys what the deal is, because we want to make sure the funding is in order. And then we go through underwriting. And then we have our attorneys. The funds are deposited into the underwriting. Sometimes what happens is we get business financing in different rounds. So you know how you have the business credit, how we do different rounds of financing, same concept. The only difference is you're partnering with us. So the funds, the rounds that you're doing for funding is actually going towards the acquisition of a business, which you take a nice portion of equity on. So past that point, our responsibility will include making sure that the deal structure is working out, making sure that everybody's having a good time in the business. We don't want to create a company culture that's pretty bad. We like to have fun, and we like to create a scenario where the business owner feels like, hey, they gave it to a safe pair of hands, that the business is being handled the right way. And the reason why we're going after these senior people and people who are looking to retire is because they've managed a decent business over time, and they're just looking for somebody who's got the aptitude and the know-how to improve the business, keep it as is, and improve the the flow of customers, of relationships, as well as internal employees, making sure that they're taken care of as well, and then their needs are catered to. So there's a lot of different aspects of that business, but at the end of the day, that's our responsibility. Along the way, as we sign deals together, as you become a credit partner and you start working with me, what happens now is we start to actually do things like, hey, we're going to start expanding that business. We're going to start acquiring, a portfolio of companies that complement that business. And those are just some of the small examples of the greater picture. So that's essentially how a credit partnership works. Like I said, the base requirement is 740 credit score with basic underwriting, making sure that you qualify and you have no negative items, no bankruptcies, charge-off collections. Next best thing is if you have income, 75K or more, that would help us. If you don't have that, that's okay. We can find other means, but ideally you want that. Now you might ask yourself, well, what is the catch? How am I tied to this? What is the consequence? So the biggest consequence is, obviously you're PGing, so you're personally guaranteeing. But the way it works is the guarantee is not really affecting you, because once we do these type of things, we always make sure we have a threshold of income and distribution of assets that covers the guarantee amount. It's just the guarantees needed to do underwriting, to make sure that we can go into business deal in a way that doesn't cause hiccups. And we're willing to give you equity in addition to capital distribution for that. And you have no absolute responsibilities whatsoever, not even maintaining the business, not even picking up a single call to speak to the owners. But and also like the structure is pretty decent. But that's how it works. That's the overview of the credit partnership program. And I think that of those interested, there's a lot of benefit. And I think that you should consider that because there's a lot of wealth that can be created out of it. So I'm gonna refer you some information I think that's gonna help you kind of stretch the idea a bit further to expand your mind on some of the things that's possible. The first thing I'd like to start with is that in the world of business, okay, a lot of people have been talking about, hey, the idea of the greatest transition of wealth in history, but they fail to explain how that transition works, and they fail to explain exactly where the wealth is. And a lot of people think it's in real estate. A lot of people think it's in, different stocks and bonds. The concept of that is, some of it is true, not 100% of it. But I think that if you think about the economy, you think about the amount of people that are retiring on a daily basis in the United States, which would be approximately 4,000 people on a daily average, and you think about a percentage of those who own businesses, what happens is, we're stuck with a lot of those businesses. When I shared my statistics with you guys earlier, how they won't be able to sell. And the reason they won't be able to sell is because they don't have succession planning. Succession planning basically means people who are willing to take over their business, some part of their family or relatives, or even somebody that they have in management. It's poorly managed, their succession plans. They don't have wills, they don't have proper structures to kind of protect themselves. So in those incidents, what ends up happening is that, a lot of business owners kind of walk out of their businesses. They fail. And when they fail, what happens is now they can't sell their business and their wealth is tied up. So again, I'm going to share some stats. Their wealth is tied up. What does that mean? It means that, they can't sell their business. That means that the percentage of the wealth that they have accumulated in their businesses is stuck. And unfortunately, what happens now is they can no longer sell the business. It's not a viable option anymore. So it's a scary statistic because tax-wise, small and medium-sized businesses pay a majority of the tax in the United States. It's just a fact. And a lot of people think, well, big companies and corporate CEOs and Fortune 500 companies are the ones that create jobs. It is true. They create income from jobs for the individuals who pay income tax. But on a corporate level and the economy level, majority of the taxes are actually going from small to medium-sized business owners. And when it comes to the transfer of wealth in history, the greatest transfer of wealth, it all comes from individual businesses that are selling and transitioning that liquidity over to, the next generation. And that means the money that they, tied up in their businesses, what the business is worth potentially, what its full capacity can be like, what it can aspire to be, is handicapped. And that means that they can't sell. That means the money that they were supposed to get is tied up in those businesses, which means 80 to 90% of the economy, and the 90% who cannot sell, or 80+% who can't sell, are now having money tied up or locked away or walked out on in terms of businesses. And that's a very scary statistic to think about. So I want you guys to think about everything that I shared with you. I wanted to give you a complete and holistic overview of the credit partnership program. I think that if you understand the value in this partnership program, there's a lot of benefit you have. And I think that you should pay attention to it because number one, it creates opportunities for you to build wealth. Number two, it helps us connect and do business more than, credit repair and business credit. It does take us to a whole new level of wealth building, and it leaves a legacy for you and your family. And number three, you get us handling the businesses for you. We manage it for you. We help you, retain the value and improve it over time. And that means that during an exit, you have nice little equity built over time. And all this because of decent credit and your existing income statements. Obviously, if you have a job and stuff. If you don't, it's still okay. So, there's a lot of things that can come out of this. So I want you to think about that. I want you to think about the credit partnership program. If you're interested, don't hesitate to contact me, Ali, at alitarafdar.com. All the information is going to be in the description of this video. So go check out the resources that's available for you. And, I wanted to leave you guys off with that. Wealth is created, right? It's earned. It's not given. And of those who have gotten the wealth, most of these people don't know how to retain the value of that wealth or improve it. It's on us to make sure that we work collaboratively with each other to increase the value of the assets that we have, to improve the lifestyle that we have for the sake of our families and ourselves, and help those around us. So it's a moral obligation for us. So with that said, guys, I wanted to leave you off with that. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and turn that bell icon, so every time there's a new video like this, you'll be first to be notified. And more importantly, leave a comment below on some of the things that you learned today about the credit partnership program. What do you guys think about that? Tell me some of the things that you're excited about. And like this video, share it with those that you would feel could benefit from this if they have good credit or are looking for opportunities to build wealth. With that said and done, this is Ali Taraftar, your guide and mentor. Bye for now.